Lots of rain again. Do you have a hard time being a believer when you meet other people in conversations? Or is it always pleasant and comfortable? And then we could add another question about our world today, and we're present in our world. Who are we in our world? What's our role? What's our identity? How are we seen as people who believe in God, as people who believe in Jesus, people who have a faith identity? There we are. Sorry about that disturbance. I have the best intentions in the world, but this dog is a stray dog, I think. I don't know this dog. I don't know what it's doing here. Obviously, it needs to... So the dog is scared, obviously. Somebody must beat the dog, or... It seemed to be a loving dog. I didn't do anything. I just moved, and then it jerked away so fast. It's circling me. I don't know what all that psychology is about. Let's see. These lines we have today from Isaiah are so powerful. They almost like match hand in hand with the gospel verses. And they're directed to people who have faith and who are practicing at the temple in Jerusalem. And they're very penetrating into the heart. And they bring great promise as well. Imagine people who are deeply frustrated, deeply scarred, deeply wounded. All the battles and wars of life, political and social and family and economic, oppressed. Share your bread with the hungry, shelter the oppressed and the homeless, clothe the naked when you see them. This is Isaiah. So we're, 6 centuries before Christ. Clothe the naked when you see them, and do not turn your back on your own. It's a very powerful line. I always love that line. It comes up in Advent and it comes up in Lent, and we have it here on this 5th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Do not turn your back on your own. Lots and lots of rain last night again. Let's go over and check how far it has come up on the wall. Do not turn your back on your own. It's so easy to turn away from a problem, a challenge that somebody needs help with. And who are our own? Who is your brother? Am I my brother's keeper? These lines, they come through Scripture from the very beginning. Do not turn your back on your own. A spouse, a child, an aging parent, grandparents, people that have maybe a little mental disturbance, somebody that doesn't have that much talent that counts in the world. We could could use this little landing spot here at the end of this stairway as a good marker to see if it's going to get covered soon with another 6 inches of water in the lake. Do not turn your back on your own. That's a difficult subject, isn't it? Some people find it very hard. Some relationships are very difficult. I'm going to go down here so that we can look over to see where that water level is coming. Do not turn your back on your own. Well, anyway, we had all that list of things about the bread for the hungry and clothing the naked. And do not turn your back on your own. And what's the result? The result is, then your light shall break forth like the dawn. And we look at that every morning here, the sunrise, and we know how beautiful it is when light breaks forth. Then your light will break forth like the dawn. And your wound shall quickly be healed. Wow! How much woundedness, how much illness, physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, politically, how much woundedness. Wow, the dog is right at my feet here, amazing. Look over there, you see this wall here, and there's a white marker on it in the corner of it. And you can see that's the level of the highest level of the water. But it was out about two yards from the wall, maybe 3 yards from the base, so it's getting closer. So that's a very key marker, that high point there. We'd love to see it up there. But it's not bad. It has been many years much lower down. Maybe even those people who own that dog, you know, do not turn your back on your own. It's just a dog. Imagine doing it to a person, abandoning a person. We have such appreciation for, We have such appreciation for the smallest little shell here, and they're so beautiful. Oh, this guy's right up with the camera. Come on, bird, you can't do that to the dog. Now, the dog was the cause. At that time it turned. We love every one of those little shells. They're so beautiful. You're down about an inch away from them, people, okay? I didn't zoom in or anything. And imagine abandoning a dog, but abandoning a person, a human being, a blood relative. Not responding to a call. Not replying to a message. It's very concrete. It's very concrete. It's beginning to drizzle a little. I'm going to go inside, I think, so we don't get the camera wet. It's good to ponder scripture, to take time for scripture, to stay with it and see which word touches you more deeply. It's not always about reading a lot of text. We can be deeply impacted by a couple of lines, or even one word. Do not turn your back on your own. I must say that that line has always had a very deep echo inside of me. Maybe the Lord needs me to open my eyes to see, to look after my own. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your wound shall quickly be healed. And the glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, Here I am. If you remove from your midst oppression, false accusation, and malicious speech, speaking badly about others. And this imagery is taken up in the words of Jesus today in the Gospel. You are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. I love something about this image is that salt and light don't shout. They're just there. And I remember the line of St. Francis, preach always, and if necessary, use words. Somehow salt is there so silently, and it makes such a difference on French fries. And light, light doesn't make any noise. Light is very gentle, very soft, and it makes such a difference in the world. Good morning, lady. That was very good timing. Thank you. So there's just this light under the dome turned on at the moment. You are the salt of the world, the salt of the earth, the light of the world. And in here it's a little dark. And a lot of this artwork we can't appreciate because we don't have the right light. We'd have to turn on more light. And the great goodness of God in the world is shown by the light, the physical light. But the baptized person who is not just baptized with the water and has a document to say, I was baptized on this day, but who is truly intimately united with the Lord. Each day looking for that presence of the Lord through the needs of others, through that good service, through that love, through forgiveness, through service and helpfulness. What a calling. And of course, people in the dark, if they have some mischief going on, don't want the light turned on. And people say, no, don't turn on the light. Don't be a Christian in my presence. Don't be a believer in God in my presence. I don't like you. Because I need to do my mischief. I need to keep it quiet. I don't need the light turned on these personal failures. and these societal failures. The whole issue of scandals, when criminal and bad behavior becomes public. It's necessary for things to be brought into the light. And you are the light of the world. Not just the big saints who are very famous. And all of them had their own issues and problems. We have the zealot, the radical guy. We have Thomas the doubter. We have Peter who denied Jesus 3 times. And yet they bring us so much light because of God's work through them. And that's the beautiful thing, that you're light of the world and salt of the earth is not something for you to be vain about. It's something to reveal God's glory. It's something not to impose on others. It's something that draws them. Light and salt work without violence. They work. It's magnetic. It's a deep respect for the human being. It's the way God works. He is there. He is present. One good homework today would be to read the rest of the Sermon on the Mount, chapters 5, 6, and 7. We're at the beginning of it, because that spells out what it means to be light and salt. What's the behavior that makes me light and salt as a follower of Jesus? Reconciliation, service, honesty, truthfulness. And look at another good piece of homework would be to go and check out the lives of these great biblical figures, David and Abraham and Moses. They all had big defects and faults, and they became great light for humanity. And after Jesus, those just multiplied by millions, the people who have been like that. Check out some of the saints you don't know. Read their story today, even a brief summary, and you'll be incredibly inspired. And their light will grow into your lives, and you will say, wow, I want to follow the path of light. I want to be the light that Jesus wants me to be in the world. God bless you, people. See you later, alligators.